Good morning, guys. It's Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor. What a great morning this. Coming live from San Antonio. We're on Facebook Live. We're also on YouTube Live right now. I'm going up to platforms later on in the day. As usual, my co-host, Jennifer Lovely. Good morning. How are you?
Good. You've got Superman on your chest there. Are you Superman today?
I'm Superman every day, according to my wife. But I think outside the house, I'm not too sure. I think I'm just that man. Oh, God, there goes that man again. I think I'm just that guy, you know.
That's exciting. That is exciting. It's Monday. I'm excited. I've been sleeping amazing because I've been doing this brain spotting music and it's been amazing for my brain. So that feels really good. And for the viewers that know that Rob and I have never, ever met in person. Rob and I will be meeting in person this week.
Friday today. We're flying Jennifer over.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome.
Yes.
Going to pick her up in a pink limousine. Drive her to our trailer park over here in West San Antonio. We're going to eat all the beans we can. We're going to be good. All the good. You see all the pictures that you see over the house? That's not really how we'd actually live. Right at the bottom in that $20 house down there somewhere. Yeah, it's going to be awesome, guys. Remember, look for us on our websites, of course, robkelly.com, jenniferlovelycoaching.com, as well as recovermecoaching.com and all the platforms. Search for Recovery Channel Podcast. It's the fastest growing podcast in the world right now as we start this journey, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. So I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to the rest of the show. Hey, listen, guys, I know what you're thinking. It's that time of day. Who's on the show? Oh, my God. I'm not even going to tell you. I'm going to surprise you. Wait till you hear this guy's story. Wait till you hear his presence, his book. I've just started reading, so I don't know a lot about it, so I've just started it. But it does look awesome. But he's got one of those stories, guys, you know, from prison to the podium. How did you come out of prison and having that lifestyle? And I've never actually been in prison, but I know loads of friends that have. And there's a certain, you know, persona you have to put over. You can't be the weak guy. You've got to be the guy. Otherwise, you get ate up. The strong survive inside there. So having be that guy and you come out and adapt to normal life is hard enough. Then go on to have a best-selling book and speak around the world and do all this stuff that Chris has done is just phenomenal. So as soon as it came up on my list yesterday, because as everyone knows, guys, I get my day the night before. And we're in bed for 9 o'clock. So I get it about 8 o'clock and I look at it. And as soon as I looked at it, I think, oh, my God, this is going to be good. It's going to be good, Jen.
I'm so excited to have this conversation. I love these stories. It's like, I love redemption.
Yeah, isn't it awesome? It's just crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
So let's go.
Let's go indeed. Guys, we'll be right back after this with Chris. Stick around. We'll be 2 minutes. Good morning, guys. If you just joined us live on Facebook and YouTube, good morning to you, or afternoon or evening, wherever you're listening. This is the Recovery Channel podcast with me and Jennifer Lovely. As usual, this week's special guest, Chris, is absolutely amazing. Welcome, Chris. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you very much. Good morning, you guys. How you doing?
Doing good.
How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on. And we're just going to get right into it. And I would really love to know, what are the 5 events that shaped you, Chris?
The 5 events that have shaped me?
Yeah, shaped your life. Mm-hmm.
I would say the death of my biological parents, prison, addiction, recovery, and my family, like the love and acceptance that I've received from my recovery.
So I've got a personal question here, because I know from just started to read your book that not only did you go to prison, but you spent some time in the hole. I don't know anybody that spent some time in the hole. So I'm interested, and I know what it is, but how is it in there? Because I'm interested from a psychological point of view, that isolation over any considerable period as an effect psychologically on the brain. and it's one of the slowest forms of torture and mental instability. So what was it like, Chris?
The hole's definitely rough. It's hard. You're locked in 24 hours a day. One thing that is I would, depending on who you talk to, but something that I liked a little bit is that I had a cellie. I had a person in my cell, and that's due to California overcrowding in the state penitentiaries. They have to double up. They have to put people where they can because it's so overcrowded. But it's hard. It's very, very hard to be in the hole. You shower every 72 hours. Go outside for about an hour and a half once a week to see the sun, let the sunlight touch your skin. It's definitely hard mentally, and it'll break you. It's meant to break you.
Yeah. So it's so interesting. So the fact, like, who you are in the world in terms of your strength, in terms of what you do for a living, in terms of just who you are, and then to hear you talk, it's so interesting because it almost doesn't match. You're so zen-like, it's super cool. I love it. But I'm really curious, talk to me about how your addiction started and where that brought you.
So addiction started me very young, but substances in my system started when I was born, like when I was being built. My mother and father are both heavy drug addicts, and my mom used drugs during the pregnancy. When I was born was when social services first came into my life. I believe that she was testing positive for something or something along the lines. I'm not sure. But I do know that social services came into my life as soon as I was born. And my mother overdosed and died when I was 2. And after she passed away, my father was so heavy in his addiction that he couldn't take care of my sister and I. So he put both of us up for adoption, put us in a foster home. And he passed away soon after that himself. So I never met them or any way that I can remember.
Yeah.
And I knew very much. I was adopted by my great aunt, and so she was my bloodline. She was my family. So she knew very well what was going on with my mother and father, and informed me as I grew up. Her intentions were very well, but it was very much a fear factor. A thing of your parents were drug addicts, and if you don't walk a tight line, you're going to fall into being a drug addict yourself because you're pre-exposed to it. So be very, very cautious and don't use drugs and don't use alcohol because that's what's going to happen to you because that's what And when I was young, I struggled with a lot of things. I have dyslexia, I have ADHD. School was hard. I got picked on. I got bullied. I started fighting in school, a lot of different things. And at 3rd grade was when I was first given Ritalin. My parents couldn't control me in a sense. School couldn't control me. My teachers were complaining about my energy and my lack of focus. So they put me on Ritalin. And that was the first experience I had with a substance that was to alter my mood, to alter the way my present being was, So I understood at that age that when I'm feeling something that's maybe not right or too much of something, then I should take something to change that. So, but I didn't like Ritalin. I didn't like authority. I didn't like being told what to do. I didn't really like Ritalin either, though. It was very zombie-like. I'm a kid that was doing backflips and handsprings all across the living room, and then they give me this pill, and then I'm staring at the wall like, what just happened? So I didn't like it, and so I stopped taking it. I started hiding it. And but that was the first experience I had with understanding that taking a substance changes the way I feel, changes the way I think, changes the way I act. And I think that gave me the idea of understanding a substance.
Mhm.
And then rebellion, like just being against authority and being picked on in school and being told by my teachers that he's a constant problem and he doesn't study, he doesn't understand, he can't read very well. That I think at a young age, at 10, watching my family drink, I understood, okay, I take this pill to feel different, and they drink this beer or they drink this alcohol. So at 10, I started like stealing beer from the garage and experimenting with that. And then it was maybe a little the next year, 11, a friend of mine found out his mom smoked weed and was like, oh, I can get some of this. And so it started very, very young.
Yeah.
And it
So,
took,
going back into your childhood for a second,
yes, sir.
the loss of not being obviously know your parents, true, because they died when you were so young. Do you find that mentally, psychologically, has that affected you in any way? And what I mean by that is, the lack of belonging and the lack of any sort of background or belonging to. I mean, does that still affect you today, Chris, or have you worked on that, or has it never affected you?
No, it affected me hard. I mean, that's the reason why I believe I sought out after gangs and started gang and became all of that, because I was searching to be accepted by somebody, even though I was adopted by a loving family and given love and support and everything. I was confused, and I did search. It definitely did take a toll. Um, I think that I still struggle with it today. Um, Something I feel that in the last maybe 5 years, talking with people about things of this nature and starting to understand more that it definitely does affect me still. Movies and stuff, you see these little adopted kids that have a chance to meet their parent when they're 35, and the parents like, I'm sorry, I was in a bad place when, or whatever the case may be, and I've realized in the last 5 years, or I think I've focused and thought about it more in the last 5 years, that that's not an option for me. They're gone and I'll never meet them. And so I think that I know that it affected me growing up, and I believe that it still affects me today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every once in a while, well, not every once in a while, we get these guests on, and then by the middle of it, we're crying, and I can already feel my tears welling up in my eyes from your story. I'm really curious about the belonging piece. I was just having this conversation with my older son, and he is a person that really wants to belong and feel like he belongs to somebody. My younger one is more of a big fuck you to the world and rebellious. And so it's just fascinating to me, that whole concept. Talk to me about what it was like to finally belong to something when I don't know which gang, if you even want to even say, but what was it like to belong to something?
It felt good. It felt like I thought that it was I thought it was what filled my hole, what felt the gap in what I was searching for. Because the thing is that like you said, with one son being that way and the other son being the opposite, I feel that I'm just like both of your sons.
Mm-hmm.
I was searching and longing to be accepted, but I gave the world a fuck you. I searched for the acceptance, but I told the world I don't want to be accepted. I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was accepted into the gang, I had already gone through the struggle of school where I was picked on for not being able to read and being on Ritalin, being a kid on medication. I went to a Catholic school. I went to a very small school, so everybody knew I was the kid on medication. Everyone knew that our resource class was like 6 kids. Everyone knew which kids were struggling. So that was hard, and I started fighting, and I started having trouble. When I found the gang and I was accepted into the gang, that gave me a false sense of security. You know, I put out this you better fear me. And that was the thing that made me feel good about being accepted, is that I knew this group of people was feared. And when I was accepted into that group, now everyone's going to fear me. And they're no longer going to pick on me because I don't know how to read. Or they're not going to pick on me because my parents were drug addicts. Or they're not going to pick on me or say anything bad about me for whatever reason they can come up with, because they fear me. So it was a huge thing to be accepted into that group, even though it was one of the worst things that I ever did.
I like that. I can relate to that so much. Coming from a council estate or the projects, is that I had that inside me of being bullied at school. So rather than go home and cry to mom, I went into the gym and I became a bodybuilder and a karate and boxing and all that. And my philosophy is, I'm going to fuck you before you fuck me. End of story. And what was really weird with me, Chris, though, is because outside I was a monster. Like I was a steroids and everything. Don't get me wrong. I had almost 20 inch arms, I think, something like that. I had 35 inch thighs. You know, really big and nasty, alcoholic, fucking steroid taking. I would do damage in seconds. You know, but inside, Chris, I was like this little kid, and I used to hear people go, "Oh my God, here's Rob Kelly. Don't mess with him." And I'm like looking around, going, "Are they talking about me?" Because I'm still this little kid inside. You know, who wants everyone to love me and like me and don't ridicule me, whatever you do, because that destroys me. So I did the same. I got big and nasty, and that wasn't me. It was a survival instinct. Guys, we got Chris on the show. We'll be right back after Travis comes in with liver and recovery interventions, guys. Hey guys, welcome back to the Recovery Channel podcast. My name is Dr. Rob Kelly, the addiction doctor, along with Jennifer Loveray, and we got Chris on the show. Awesome so far, Chris. Love, I can identify with every single one of that and story. Every single part of the story I can identify. I was never adopted, but my God, it felt like I was sometimes because my parents kind of shut off half the time and I was alone. So the isolation for me almost killed me. It really did, but Talk to me about the World Championship. Talk to me about the guys, the bunch of guys you hang with. How did you get into that? The calisthenics and everything.
So when I was adopted, I was adopted by my great aunt. She's my family. She was my mother's aunt, and she was everything to me. Even though I broke her, even though I stole from her, I robbed her, I shattered her heart more times than I can count. She stuck by me the whole time. She would put me in jail if she knew I was on drugs or anything. She would put me in jail, and then come see me and tell me I love you and I know that there's something great for you if you're willing to work for it. And so when I got out of prison in 2008, I didn't really have the idea that I was going to change. I didn't like, oh, I'm going to change my life, and like the whole idea was that I was going to put an effort towards not getting high the second I got out. Like that was me every time I got out of jail. Like it was pedal to the metal till I hit the wall. Like I was high within hours. I was drunk. I was black. I was stealing cars. I was robbing people in the first day that I was out of jail. So I was like, you know what? I can wait a little bit on that and show my mom that I appreciate her being a support line while I'm in jail. And when I got out, that was the only idea. I was like, okay, if the longer I can make it before I relapse, the bigger gift it'll be to my mom. That's all I wanted to do, was give a gift to my mom. And as I was working on building that gift bigger and bigger, then it changed. I had the idea, like, maybe I can change. I don't know. All I knew is that I just didn't want to shatter her heart again. Like, as I was getting further into sobriety, which wasn't like an actual plan, but as I was out a month and I was out 2 months and I hadn't gotten high and I wasn't, and my mom was, the smile on her face, I didn't want to break that again. And that's how it kept building. That was my block to build up to the next step, because my mom would push me and she believed in me and she was happy. And I wanted to make her happier. And in 2012, she passed away from cancer. And I lost everything. Like, I didn't lose my recovery. I didn't go back to drugs or alcohol. I didn't go back to my neighborhood. But honestly, it was only a matter of time, because I really didn't care. Like, I was suicidal. I was very, very suicidal. I was raised Catholic, and that's the only thing that really kept me from taking my life, is that I believed that my mother is an angel and went to heaven. And if I was to take my life, I would go to purgatory and I wouldn't be able to see her. And that was the only thing that I wanted, was to see her again. And so I fell apart. I stayed in my bedroom. I just thought about killing myself. I just wasted away. My family already assumed that I was on drugs, because I was pale and I was skinny and I was not talking to nobody. So I was already getting written off as using again. So I just really didn't care. And I had the idea of going to the gym to exhaust my body. Like, if I go to the gym and I walk on the treadmill for 6 hours, then tonight I'll sleep. I won't stare at my ceiling and wish that I was dying. Like, I couldn't shake this idea of 5 minutes. I wanted 5 minutes to talk to my mother, like just 5 minutes to tell her thank you and that I loved her. And the fact that I had thrown away years of time in prison and on the street and getting high, it killed me. I want 5 minutes. I can't get it. And I threw away years. So I went to the gym to try to exhaust my body, just to sleep. And my mother plugged me in like she always did. She was the one that told me to go to the gym. I went to the gym and I saw some guys doing calisthenics that I didn't know what the hell they were doing. Like, I never knew what a muscle up was. I've been to prison. I've done a lot of prison time. I've seen guys do sets of 40 pull-ups, strong, full extension, bar to the Adam's apple, like full, strong pull-ups. But I never seen a muscle up. Like, a muscle up is a pull-up to your hip. And when I saw this guy do it, I was like, what in the fuck was that? Like, I'm depressed. I've been in my bedroom for months. I can't do shit. And so he doing these muscle ups, him and his little group of guys, like, I was literally staring there with my jaw on the ground. Like, whoa, that was crazy. And one of the guys was like, hey dude, you wanna try, like, can you muscle up? You do muscle ups? And I don't even know what the hell that is, dude. Like, and he was like, come on, man, try. Like, like, it was my mom. My mom told me, hey, go to the gym. I believe that was where the idea came from. And she plugged me in with these guys. And they invited me to Venice Beach. They said, hey, man, every Sunday we work out at the beach, and there's a huge group of us that come from all around LA. So I went, and I finally got my head out of the water. I felt like I was drowning since my mom passed away. And that day at the beach, I got my head above water, and I could breathe again. And that was the understanding that I was like, okay, I'm going to do this every day. And that's what I did. And then I found out there was competitions, and those guys that I met at the beach that day, they signed me up for my first competition without me knowing, pushed me into it and said, hey, dude, you're going to I won it. It was in LA. That pushed me to Florida. Actually lost the competition in Florida, but made very good connections with people that suggested and pushed me into a competition to represent the United States in
Wow.
the World Championship in Russia, in Moscow, Russia. And so I won that, and I won to be the representation of the United States. Went to Russia and came in second place out of 65 countries.
Wow.
And from there, it's been a ride. I'm from Russia to Norway to Dubai to Europe. Mexico. I've been to 19 countries now.
Wow. That's
Such a-
amazing. Congratulations.
It's
So badass. Chris, it's my belief that inside of our suffering is something that wants to be expressed deeply inside of our being, our soul. What was finally able to be expressed when you started competing, when you started recovering, when you started doing this work?
Gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful. Like I said, I've been in 19 countries. At the age of 14, I gave up on myself. I was sitting in juvenile hall. My mom came to see me, and I told her that, Mom, this is where I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to die in here, or I'm going to get shot on the street. I'm going to die in a bad way. But every time I went to jail, I was 14 years old. I already been to jail multiple times. Every time I went to jail, my mom cried, and why do you do this? Why do you do this? And I understood at 14 that I was like, okay, if I accept and if you accept, every time I come in here, it's going to be less painful for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I gave up at 14, and she didn't. At 15 and 16 and 17 and 18, 19, all these years, that every year that I was in jail, all these years I was in jail. And she came to see me every year, every time, writing letters, talking on the phone. You can change this. It's waiting. Something is waiting for you, Chris, is you have to work for it. It's not going to happen for you. You have to work for it. And to be here today, talking with you, been to Russia, been to the places I've been, talked to the people I've talked to. I'm grateful. I 100% accepted and believed I was going to die in a cement cell. And when I started traveling, when I started doing calisthenics and I started traveling a little bit, people started asking me, I have tattoos on my head. I'm covered in tattoos, and I have gang tattoos. And people would ask me, like, man, you look like you've been to jail and stuff. And I would kind of shy away from the question because I didn't want people to know, like, people would be like, wow, man, you're real strong and you can do real cool tricks on the bar and stuff. But I didn't want them to know, like, I used to rob people. Mm-hmm. I used to, I was ruthless to get my next high. I didn't care. And so I was scared to do that. But as that slowly leaked out more and more, and people were accepting, my crew, my calisthenic crew that brought me into the beach that day, I hid it from them as long as I could. But then when they found out that I was in jail, they were like, man, dude, it's awesome that you changed. And they were supportive. And then, and when I met my manager, and he told me that you got to write a book, you got to tell the world, you got to let them know that you've changed. Mm-hmm. And so that I believe what I want to express, what I'm trying to express, is that I'm grateful. Mm-hmm. And if I can make it, to this point of being happy when I accepted death from an overdose, from being like whatever, like long a time ago, then I know that anyone can do this. And so I'm so grateful that I'm no longer in the position that I used to be, that I just want to share the possibility of change. And if anybody will listen, then I'm grateful.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that, Chris. I love that about you. I just love the person you are. Just listen to your story, just inspires the shit out of me. And let me tell you something, Chris. I've been to Oxford. I was homeless. I stabbed my wife. I beat people up. I nearly killed people for drugs. I don't give a shit what it was. I don't listen to many stories and get really tied into it because, hey, I've fucking been there and done it. No big deal. So you're a drug addict, big deal. But what you've done is absolutely incredible. Guys, we're going to be right back after this. Don't go away, guys. I know the numbers are looking good right now. Chris is very entertaining, got a fantastic story. Got some more questions for him after this, guys. Welcome back, guys. My name is Dr. Rob Kelly, along with Jennifer Lovely. This is Recovery Channel Podcast. You've just been watching Recover Me Coaching, but if you're only listening on podcast, recovermecoaching.com, an affordable way to change your future, guys. Well, with Chris today, and I've got to say, so far, I'm not only impressed, I've also been hit in the heart hearing your story. You kind of think you've got the worst story yourself until you hear somebody come on like you, Chris, who's not only got a horrendous story, but delivers it so humbly. It's like you're not asking for anything. You're just telling your story. This is the way it is. And I think most guys that I know back in the day who went into prison come out and did nothing with their lives. In fact, it's a revolving door. It became part of their life. So to change that shit around after the horrendous past psychologically of being passed around to families and, parents dying. And it's just amazing what you're doing today. So my question is to you, to date, here on the 30th of November, what's the best part of your life so far that you can put your finger and go, oh, that was it right there? That's where I knew that I was doing something to change people's lives.
To change people's lives?
Yes.
My book. My book was very difficult for me to put out. For many reasons, my dyslexia, my hate for school, my struggle of school, and the idea of reliving everything that I have in the depth that I did to put it down on paper. It was hard to struggle through making the book with dyslexia and everything, but it also made me relive the trauma of school, going through school with dyslexia, and everything I hated, fighting, punching people to make them shut up. And I don't want to be violent. I don't want to be violent anymore. And but the responses that I have gotten from my book, people that have read the book, and it was worth it. It was worth it. I'm so grateful to have published my book and to be in a position that I can tell the story of change. And like it's truly my biggest belief that I'm like, you want to change? Like, I know you can change. I don't know your story. Like, I can meet somebody and be like, I don't know your story. I don't even know you from Adam or from Eve, but I'll tell you can change because I'll tell you I changed. And to the point where I accepted I didn't want to change. I accepted that like I'm going to die. Like I joined gang life to be feared. And I climbed that ladder the best I could. Like I wanted more fear. I wanted people to fear me because that was the way that it was going to make me feel less scared. And so to be here now and to have the responses from the people that have read my book, and I think that I think that's the best thing that I've done to try to help someone. I'm working on the audiobook right now, and it's another hard thing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, you're good. It just sounds like there's a lot of catharsis in the process of you writing the book, right? And I wanted 2 comments actually I want to say is that like moms never give up. They just don't. My kids have been to jail. They haven't been to prison, but they've been to jail, and we just don't give up, right? We just don't give up. It doesn't matter. So I love your mom for that. But I also want to talk about Like, I'd rather be free than safe. And so talk to me about how did you stay free in prison when I hear that freedom is so important to you?
I was part of one of the largest prison gangs in California.
Mm-hmm.
Fear.
Mm-hmm.
I understood at a very young age that when I was first grade, right, my first experience of school, it was like a bell. Every time they would do the Pledge of Allegiance, I would start crying.
Mm-hmm.
I understood that I was alone. When I got to school early, like I would play with the kids and everything. But as soon as the Pledge of Allegiance went off, I understood my mom was gone, and I was alone. So I was scared, and I would start crying. So from my earliest memories, fear enclosed me. You know, it kept me from being free.
Mm-hmm.
Fear. And so the more that I felt that I can inflict fear on everyone else, I felt free. If I'm not the one, if there's two people in a situation, if I'm not the one that's afraid, then I'm the one that's free.
Mm-hmm.
If we're in a conflict and you fear me, then you're the one that's captured. You're the one that's encaged. So in prison, it was a thing of becoming somebody, being more feared, being the one, not just the one in prison, but being the one in prison that's like, oh, the wrecking crew, the one that, you know, that's what helped me feel free. The less fear, you know, inflicting fear.
Yeah.
It just says free. It's that not the victim anymore kind of mentality, because we've been all that shit. Chris, a direct question. You might want to answer it, you might not. Have they ever tried to drag you back into gang life? The old boys?
Have people ever tried to drag me in?
Yeah, you know, old gang members saying you've got to come back. Let's go there. Let's do this. Have you had any of that from them, from the guys?
No, not so much of like we want you to come back. I did receive some messages when I decided to leave that they wanted to kill me for leaving. I've seen other people from my gang that like know of my story now, and I've crossed paths with a couple of people that are like, hey, what's up, man? Like, you know, I see you on YouTube and shit now, man. You're doing that's cool. So that's cool. You know, I'm just glad I haven't crossed paths with the other ones.
Right. How does that feel though? How does it feel when someone says that to you? Hey, Chris, I saw you on YouTube. I saw you on, you know, does that make you feel good? Is that the accomplishment side in you?
It feels amazing when I'm at the airport. Like, you know, like when multiple times I've been at Disneyland, and somebody in line is like, dude, I watch your YouTube. Like, bro, I follow you on Instagram and you're the guy. And I'm like, whoa, what? Like, this is insane. Like, it feels amazing. In those times that like my neighborhood and like ex members, like, you know, people like when they've said it, I really don't know, you know, like I'm in a hyper sense of like, what's this person gonna do right now? Like, are you bullshitting me? Are you really watching my YouTube and being like, oh man, that's cool that Chris is doing good? Or are you watching YouTube and being like, fuck this dude, you know, like, but now that we're in front of each other face to face, you know, like the times that I've received those face to face things from old members, it's been a mix up. Honestly, it felt good that's the way the conversation went, and it didn't go in another physical manner or anything else. That was very good, felt good. But in reality, it was a little bit of a confusion.
Sorry, Jen. I've got to tell you this before I forget, Chris. So I'm over in South Carolina, and I'm with a patient going back to his home, taking to a quick meeting. And I'm in this meeting, and it's called the smokestack meeting. Of course, everyone's smoking. And I'm sat down there. There's about 20 guys in there, 15 bikers. belong to a gang, Hell's Angels or something. And they're all sat there, and it goes around the room, introduce yourself. So I'm like, oh, my name's Rob, I'm an alcoholic. And I shared a little bit, but all the time, these guys are staring at me, all these bikers are staring at me. And you know, you take your eyes off somebody and you go back and they're still staring like, oh, fuck. You know, I kept doing that. And all the time they kept staring at me. And I thought, I'm done. I must be English. I don't know what it is, but I think they're going to fucking kill me. So we get up to do the Lord's Prayer. We're all holding hands or something. And as soon as we finish, because I'm on my own there, the patient's with the family, you know, doing a family day. And I let go of these hands and I was heading to the door, man. And I parked my car at the far part of the car park. I'm like, shit. I open the door and I'm walking without running. You know, I don't want to feel afraid. And I'm walking as fast as I can. And all these guys, you could hear them coming out and behind me. One said, hey, fuck. I said, are you Rob Kelly? And I said, yeah, why? Oh, man, we watch your videos, man. Oh, my God, you have him in our treatment center. And they asked for autographs and everything. And I'm like, I got back in the car, Chris, and I cried like a baby. It was just like, holy shit. I'm having an effect on someone. And that's about a year after I came to the States 14 years ago. But yeah, crazy story. Crazy.
I cried in Russia. When I came in second place, I flew out to Russia scared. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to Russia. And what am I doing? Imposter syndrome, you know, super hard from the whole flight, 14 hours. Like I shouldn't be going. I'm not good enough. And when I came in second place, the only thing I wanted to do was go back to the hotel and call my dad. I was like, I got to call my dad and tell my dad that I won, you know, and it took forever to actually get to the hotel because there was so many people that wanted to take a picture with me, and person asked for my shirt. Like it was just a regular T-shirt that I wore to the competition. This guy's like, hey, can I have your shirt? Like, please, like, oh man, like through translation, and asked me to sign it for him and autograph. And so when I was explaining this to my dad, like, Dad, I won, and people wanted to take pictures with me and asked me to sign autographs, and like I started tearing up. I'm like, I wanted my mom to be able to experience it, but I knew that she was the reason why I was there, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
I love that so much. And I love that you are owning who you are today, right? I love that you're just owning who you are, Tatted Strength. But so talk to me about what you are up to today. Like, what are you creating? I know you wrote a book, and what are you looking to create or even accomplish? Like, what's your next thing?
Working on the audio version of my book right now, which is a struggle. Dyslexia it's hard. I can't read for extended period of time. Like my eyes the words start to move like ants on the it's weird.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with that, but that's the project that I'm working on right now. Want to get my podcast off the ground, and honestly, just to move forward with any project that help change. I was really, really trying to get my public speaking rolling, which was doing well. I enjoy it a lot, but with COVID, all public venues are now shut down. So,
yeah.
My audiobook is the project that I'm working on now. Also, revamping the book. I published the book a couple of years ago now, so second edition with maybe some more juicy war stories and some prison stories. Just extend the book a little bit longer and give an update about what's going on and different things today.
I love it, Chris. Absolutely. Guys, run out of time, unfortunately. Could sit with Chris all day. Chris Leura, guys. There's his website on there. Visit the website, buy the book. You got to read this guy's book, man. It's just, I can't explain it. And the other thing that's weird as well, Chris, is in all the time we've been doing these podcasts, we've never had a steady stream of watchers and listeners, and it's never dropped at all. It's been steady all the way through. Absolutely amazing. So we do this always when we find an amazing guest. So I want to tell you, Chris, for Jennifer asked an amazing question at the end. I just love it. But let me tell you, Chris, I want to be real honest with you right now. You are probably one of the most influential peoples in my life right now, not only because I'm just reading your book, because of your story, because of your personality, because of the humbleness. I'm big on humbleness. I mean, it's not ego, it's confidence that we have. You know, it's not war stories. It's experience that we've been through that inspires others. You will never know. This is my experience. You will never know how many hundreds of thousands, shortly to become millions of people that you have an effect on. Because everybody I know is now going to be reading the book because I put it all over my Facebook and everything. So you're inspiring a lot of people, man. And I just want to say thank you so much for doing that. Thank you so much for having the courage to come away from that past, to come out of prison, to stand there with gang tats all over your body and still be an inspiration for other people, man. It fucking blows my mind that we haven't met before now, because there's so many cool things that, you know, as soon as me and Jennifer found out he was coming on, it's like, oh, this guy's going to be good. Because we get a lot of educational people on, we get a lot of street people on, but very rarely do we get people on that's done it and succeeded and now telling the story, wrote the book, you know, doing the public talks. It's absolutely amazing, man. So thank you so much. We're going to be friends forever. And when you get your podcast going, don't forget to get me and Jen on. We'll boost it by at least 3 people. We're pretty good like that. So for now, Chris, I got to say bye. I've got 9 minutes before my next one. But hey, Chris, thank you so much, man. I'll be in touch on Facebook.
Thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate the opportunity to be on. And I just want to share my story or share the opportunity to change for anybody. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you. I really want to know what you want to leave people with. What do you want people to be left with today?
Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, because that was the thing that I stayed in jail a lot of extra years. Even though I had the support line that helped me get out of it, you know, I stayed in jail a lot because I didn't believe in myself. I accepted that I was a failure and I already messed up. So believe in yourself, whether it be recovery or a business or relationships or whatever. Just believe in yourself because you're capable.
Thank you for that. And I certainly believe in you. And you are a walking, like human being of wisdom. You are wisdom. So thank you for all of your sharing your story, for doing the work that you had to do to get to where you are, for showing people what true strength is, because that is really true strength, what you've done. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. I don't want this to sound a little bit gay coming over, but he stood there all humbly with his t-shirt on. Check him on the internet. He was ripped to shit with his t-shirt off, by the way. I don't want to come over all gay and stuff, but I don't know. I mean, if Janet ever leaves, guys, Chris was on the show. What a fantastic guy. Thank you so much again, Chris. And we'll be right back. It's the show, guys, just after this. Hey guys, welcome back to the end of the show. That was absolutely freaking awesome. Love Chris a bit. How about that, Jen? How was that? Was it good for you?
Yeah, I think it was amazing. I could have talked to him all day.
Yeah, he's definitely the man. You know, he's a man's man. He's what he is. Kicking ass and taking names and fucking owning it as well. I
really loved how he is so zen.
Yes.
Right? It's like, I don't know if he's been working his ass off all the time, where it's like he's just fully zen. It was lovely to talk to him, and you can tell that he's done a lot of personal work on himself to get to where he's at. But I also want to say, you know, my ex-husband used to say he would leave himself for Eddie Vedder. So Rob, I get like,
always that. You never know. We're coming out. We're coming out, Chris. We're coming out to get you. Hey, we should get the plane out and go over to West Side. Is it the West Side? Yeah, the West Side. Okay, guys, that was the show. Recovery Channel podcast. Check us out on all the platforms. Give us a like. Send us some messages. Give us some feedback on Chris, and we'll put it on Facebook. We're going to definitely have him on the show again. But for now, guys, for me, I want to say thank you so much for listening and watching today. Have a fantastic day. And remember, guys, how many people can you help today?
Yes. Who can you serve? Every day I ask, God, who can I serve? Ask yourself that. Hope you guys have a good week, and we will see you soon.
Bye, guys.